Imagine this. Johnny Depp walks into one of Paris's most exclusive restaurants. The kind of place where the lighting is soft, the music is just right, and the air itself feels expensive. People notice him right away. The hat, the bracelets, that calm but magnetic presence, it's unmistakable. And immediately, everyone starts whispering. Who's he meeting tonight? Because when Johnny shows up, it's never just a quiet dinner. It's a story waiting to explode. The cameras outside start flashing before he even takes his seat. Fans online are already guessing. Some think it's a new romance. Some say it's an old flame. Others claim it's a Hollywood deal happening behind closed doors. And within minutes, social media is on fire with one burning question: who's sitting across from Johnny Depp tonight? Hey everyone, welcome back. You know, it's rare these days to see Johnny in public. Ever since his return to the spotlight, he's kept his circles small and his moments private. So when he's spotted at an elegant dinner, late at night, in Paris, the city of love, people notice. And this time, what unfolded at that dinner caught everyone completely off guard. At first, it looked like a romantic setup. A corner table, candles flickering, 2 glasses of wine, and Johnny smiling across the table at someone. It had all the ingredients of a love story. The paparazzi saw it, the tabloids ran with it, and the internet was convinced Johnny Depp was back in love. But as the night went on, something about the scene didn't quite fit the narrative. The energy wasn't flirtatious. It wasn't staged. It was warm, genuine, and full of something different, something deeper. People watching from nearby tables described the atmosphere as calm, peaceful, and emotional. 2 people connecting, not as lovers, but as old souls who had shared something bigger than gossip could ever explain. The next morning, headlines screamed across the internet. Johnny's secret date revealed. New woman in Johnny's life. Romantic dinner sends fans into frenzy. And yet, the truth behind that evening couldn't have been further from those stories. Because the person sitting across from Johnny wasn't a new lover, a co-star, or a mysterious muse. It was someone who's been part of his journey quietly, away from the spotlight. Someone who stood by him when the world turned its back. That dinner wasn't about passion or sparks. It was about gratitude. About connection. About 2 people celebrating how far they've come through storms that once seemed endless. It was an emotional moment disguised as a headline, a private victory mistaken for a public affair. And the more you look into it, the more it makes sense. Johnny's life these days is nothing like it used to be. Gone are the red carpets every other week, the chaotic parties, the non-stop interviews. He's softer now, calmer, and much more reflective. Those close to him say he spends his evenings painting, playing guitar, or talking about art and philosophy rather than fame and money. So when you see him sharing dinner with someone, it's rarely about romance. It's about loyalty, trust, and maybe even redemption. Still, the world can't resist building stories around him. It's like we all have this image of Johnny, the wild artist, the romantic rebel, the mysterious soul, and every time he's seen with someone, we project that fantasy onto it. Psychologists even say that this is how celebrity culture works. We don't just follow their lives, we write the scripts in our own heads. But this time, the truth broke that illusion. The dinner was actually a private thank you. A simple, meaningful gesture for a friend who had stood by him through dark days, someone who had seen him not as a superstar, but as a person trying to rebuild his life. That kind of loyalty, in Johnny's world, is rare. And that's exactly why this moment was special. Now picture it again. The restaurant, the quiet laughter, the way Johnny leaned back in his chair, smiling softly. To outsiders, it looked like a man falling in love. But in reality, it was a man rediscovering peace. It wasn't the start of a new chapter in romance, it was a moment of closure. A deep breath after years of chaos. People close to Johnny say he's become incredibly private about his relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships too. He's careful now. He values silence over spectacle. Because after everything he's been through, he's learned that not every connection needs to be public. Not every dinner needs to be explained. Sometimes, the most meaningful moments are the ones no one fully understands. And yet, that's what makes stories like this so powerful. Because they remind us that even someone as larger than life as Johnny Depp is still human. He still needs connection. He still cherishes the people who stood by him when it mattered most. And that dinner? That was his way of saying thank you, not with words, not with statements, but with presence. You can almost imagine the scene, the laughter, the quiet pauses, the way he listens more than he speaks. That's the version of Johnny most people never see. The man behind the fame. The artist who feels deeply, loves quietly, and finds beauty in the small, ordinary moments. And maybe that's what shocked fans the most. Because we've all been trained to expect drama. We're wired to look for the twist, the secret romance, the explosive reveal. But sometimes the real story is so much simpler, and so much more beautiful. What happened that night wasn't a scandal. It was a reminder that after all the noise, all the headlines, all the courtrooms and chaos, Johnny Depp is finally living on his own terms again. One friend close to him once said that Johnny doesn't measure happiness the way most people do anymore. It's not about the fame or the roles or even the money. It's about peace. About being able to sit down with someone he trusts, share a meal, and feel normal again. For a man who spent years living in the center of controversy, that kind of normal is priceless. And here's the thing, maybe that's why this story matters more than any rumor. Because it shows growth. It shows healing. It shows that the same man who once lived in a whirlwind of fame and heartbreak can now sit quietly at a table, smile, and simply be himself. So yes, fans were shocked. But maybe they shouldn't have been. Because what they witnessed wasn't a romantic spark, it was something far more powerful, contentment. And in today's world, that's rarer than love itself. Think about it. We live in a time where every celebrity move is magnified, analyzed, and twisted into a story that sells. But when the truth is something calm, quiet, and pure, it almost feels unbelievable. Yet that's exactly what Johnny's life has become, not a performance, but a reflection. After years of battles, both personal and public, he's found solace in simplicity. The man who once commanded global stages now finds peace in an intimate dinner, good conversation, and genuine friendship. It's not about being seen anymore, it's about being understood. And that's what makes this story so hauntingly beautiful. Because it's not about who sat at that table, it's about what that moment represented. Closure. Gratitude. Renewal. For Johnny, that dinner wasn't an event. It was a quiet milestone. A personal reminder that even after being torn apart by the world, you can still rebuild, still love, still trust again. And that, right there, is what truly shocked fans, not the mystery guest, but the man he's become. You know, people forget that Johnny Depp has always been more of a poet than a performer. Every move, every look, every gesture he makes carries meaning. And that night, the meaning was clear: peace over chaos, truth over rumors, connection over performance. When photos surfaced later, fans dissected every detail, his outfit, his smile, even the way he held his glass. But the real story wasn't in those pictures. It was in what they didn't capture. The silence between words. The comfort of old friendship. The kind of unspoken understanding that doesn't need cameras or headlines. In a world that constantly demands noise, Johnny chose quiet. And maybe that's the biggest surprise of all. Because once upon a time, Johnny's life was anything but quiet. Fame chased him everywhere. The headlines wrote stories faster than he could live them. But now, every move feels intentional. Every moment feels earned. And that dinner in Paris? It was a celebration of that new chapter, the one where he finally gets to be free from the world's expectations. So maybe we shouldn't call it a romantic dinner, after all. Maybe it was a redemption dinner. A moment where a man who had been misunderstood for so long finally sat down, looked across the table, and saw peace looking right back at him. And that's something worth celebrating. So what do you think? Do you believe celebrities like Johnny deserve that privacy, those rare, genuine moments away from the flashing cameras? Or do you think the spotlight just comes with the life they've chosen? Drop your thoughts below. I'd love to know how you see it. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. We've got more truth, more untold stories, and more heart behind the headlines coming your way. Because at the end of the day, every story about Johnny Depp isn't just about fame, it's about the man who keeps reminding us that even after everything, kindness, loyalty, and peace still matter. And that's something no rumor can ever take away.